If you lack clarity and direction in your life and you wake up, rinse, wash, repeat, same shit, different day, it's a direct indicator that you are living your life on autopilot by default. Been there, done that. Today, I'm going to help you break that cycle, get out of living in survival, and I'm going to help you start thriving in your life. And what this really comes down to is getting out of your own way, which is exactly what I help my clients do. The first step to creating change in your life is always awareness. Now, I want to quickly cover my 4 main pillars that I coach my clients through, but then I'm going to give you a practical framework to help you get unstuck so you can start living your life by design. So the first step to creating change in your life, let's just write it out. These are the 4 main pillars that I coach from. The first step is always awareness. Now, I have a free resource on my website called the Life Assessment. I invite you to go take that. That will help you create this first step to changing your life. So the first step is always awareness. Now, this is about becoming self-aware, which most people lack. You're literally living in autopilot, going through the motions, same thoughts, same emotional states, same actions. What is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over, expecting new results. And so in order to create change in your life, you have to break these repetitive cycles. So you have to start here. You have to start becoming aware. What are those thoughts you have on repeat? Because life is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Whatever you think about and speak about, you will bring about. And thoughts are the first domino in reality creation. Thoughts, emotions, habits. That's it. And those 3 pieces are creating your identity. So in order to get new results in your life, you have to think of it like reinventing yourself. What I coach my clients through on how to create version 2.0. So we have to start here. This is the foundation, awareness. And remember, it's becoming aware of your thoughts, your emotions, and your habits. Why? Because these 3 drivers create your identity. And your identity creates your reality. That is literally it. So I don't want you to think that change your life is rocket science. It's actually pretty simple. It's mechanics, and we're going to get into that today. But you have to understand this. This is the first domino in reality creation, becoming self-aware of these thoughts, emotions, and habits that are creating your identity, creating your reality. The second piece is creating a clear aim. Now, I've had hundreds of calls over the years with clients and potential clients, and this is the one I find most people are stuck in, lacking clarity and direction in their life. And this is where you may be too, but here's the thing. If you're lacking clarity and direction, you're drifting through life. You are living on autopilot. You are living by default. And if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. So the easiest way to figure out what you do want is to write down everything that you don't want. You don't want to be broke. You don't want to be overweight. You don't want to be in a struggling relationship or single. You don't want to be just getting by or doing something you hate. So get really clear. What don't you want? And that will help you create claim on what you do want. So now we've become self-aware, and you're creating an aim, forward focus, forward momentum. What's the next step? This is about application. These are the daily principles in order to get unstuck, in order to stop living by default and start living by design. And finally, when you put all these together, application, consistency, you ultimately achieve new results in your life. So this is the first step. If you're feeling lost, if you're living in survival mode, going through the motions, let me share a little bit about my backstory. This is where I found myself in 2017. Actually, even before that. I remember in my 20s constantly complaining to my parents, I'm going through the motions. What is my purpose? What is the meaning? What is the point of any of this? Like, I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I felt like a hamster on a wheel, Groundhog Day. And it turns out I was living by default. I just followed conditioning and programming. I followed the American dream, go to college, get a degree. Then I got a second degree, climbed the corporate ladder. I had everything that was supposed to make me happy, and I wasn't. And that's really what happens, I believe, to most midlife crisisers. They chased all of those things, external validation, and they chased success, and they got the money, and maybe they got the accolades, but they're not happy and they're not fulfilled, which is maybe where you find yourself because you haven't followed your definition of success. So that's what I want to really help you do today, because that's what I've done in my own journey. So that's where I was, going through the motions, same shit, different day. I hated my 9 to 5. I wasn't fulfilled, dreading Monday, cheering on Friday, week in and week out. Do you think that's any way to live? No, but that's what like 95% of people are doing, but not you and not anymore. So in order to break free of that autopilot, we have to put in some legwork in order to create change in life. So this is where I want to start. And then I'm going to share with you like exactly what I did for myself to break out of autopilot, to start being a conscious creator of my reality, because I want you to know, once you understand all this, reality, like creating what you want in your life, isn't magic, it's mechanics. And once you understand all the pieces and you put them into play by doing the daily reps, you literally can have, be, do, and experience whatever you want in this reality. The sky is not the limit, your belief system is. So that's literally what I did back in, it's actually 2016. So before I quit corporate, the summer of 2016, I joined my first group coaching program. It was called Dream Starter Program, How to Leave Your 9 to 5. So that was my first step. And in that fall, I got my first one-on-one mindset coach that really helped me lay the foundation, create the clarity, create the aim, start doing the mental reps. And that's when I quit my job in 2017. And the biggest thing that kept me living in survival mode is, again, I wasn't chasing my definition of success. I was chasing the American dream. And it turned out a 9 to 5 and climbing the corporate ladder wasn't my dream. So I sat down and I got really clear. I knew what I didn't want. I didn't want a 9 to 5. I didn't want to go through life's motions. So I want to help you do that. I want to help you create clarity. But really, it's that identity piece that you have to step into, because otherwise we're just working on the surface level things. So let's do that step number 2 piece right now, creating clarity. So here's what I figured out. Okay, here I am. I'm not happy. I don't like where, my life's trajectory. I don't love where I'm going. Like, what do I want? So I got really clear. I was like, okay, I want laptop lifestyle. That way I could work from anywhere. And then I wanted to do something I love. So work I love. And I don't want you to think about these as secrets. I want you to go back to childhood. Like, what do you do when you're in the zone? What do you do when you lose track of time? My dream as a little girl was to be a teacher. But I got to college, found out they made $35,000 a year, and I was like, well, that's not going to work. So I chased a general degree, and then I got my paralegal degree, and well, anyway, it was glorified paper pushing, and I got paid really well in oil and gas and as a paralegal, but I hated the work. I hated it. So this became my roadmap. This is what I wanted. And I didn't know how, but I kept following the intuitive nudges. I kept following the impulses. And remember, I got coaching and mentors along the way. Like, do this. And if you want to fast track where you are to the life you could be living, this is exactly what I provide for my one-on-one coaching clients. I invite you to learn more and apply for one-on-one coaching by visiting the link below or visiting my website, heatherhakes.com. So I at least knew this much. Laptop lifestyle, work from anywhere, do work I love. And then things started slowly happening, and I joined masterminds and different groups and different coaching and like attending seminars. And I started thinking bigger because I'm hanging out with entrepreneurs and other people, which led me into podcasting and led me into coaching, which is what I do today. And I freaking love what I do. And guess what? I have a laptop lifestyle. I can work anywhere with Wi-Fi. I freaking love what I do. And now I'm going to break down for you what I actually came up with was my definition of success. Because if you don't know your values and you don't know what lights you up, you're going to default to somebody else's definition, which is why you're not happy, why you're not fulfilled, why you feel lost. So here's what I came up with. Again, this had everything to do with like, what lights me up? What am I doing when I feel alive, when I lose track of time? and that I could get paid for. So this is now my guiding light. Like, this is my roadmap, and I love acronyms. So here's my acronym. I want to thrive. And this is what I'm going to help you do today. I didn't want to live in survival mode. I didn't want to live in autopilot. I didn't want to live by default. And the more and more I learned about quantum physics and neuroscience and ancient wisdom and all these universal laws, that you literally create your reality. And that's why I said that creating the results you want is not magic, it is mechanics. And it's time that you learn these. Now we're into that third piece, that third pillar, application. You have to learn the mechanics of reality creation, of identity shifting, so you can have, be, and do whatever the hell you want in your life. So here's my acronym, and I hope this provides clarity for you. Now, these are my values, and you can build a life around it. So number one, I love travel and adventure. For me, travel and adventure lights me up. It makes me feel alive. I love the great outdoors. I love new experiences. I created my bucket list. And again, that aim, creating clarity on what I wanted, I printed out a world map and I just started pinning all the things I wanted to do, because that gave my mind focus and clarity. And I want you to do this too. What's the dollar amount you want to make? What kind of work do you want to be doing? What kind of lover do you want to have? What do you want? Because if you don't give your mind a clear aim, it can only keep repeating the past. So for me, this was a big one, travel and adventure. I didn't want to have a couple weeks vacation a year or like have to ask for time off to live my life. Are you serious? So this is a big one, travel and adventure. The next one is health and fitness. This is why, like, I'm an endurance athlete. Health and an active lifestyle it's a part of who I am. It's part of my identity. I like to see what I'm made of, but really it's like taking care of mind, body, the whole thing. Because without your health, you literally have nothing. The next one is I want to realize my potential. Like, I want to see how good life can get. I want to see what's possible for me when I get out of my own way. And that actually ties in why I do endurance feats. I'm constantly breaking through my own mental barriers, self-doubt and learning resilience and overcoming adversity. Like, all of this ties together. The next one was I wanted independence of my time and finances. I don't work 40 hours a week. I mean, I work part-time at best because that's what I want to do. That's how I want to live my life, so that I'm able to do all of these. And I'm setting myself up for long-term potential, for marriage and babies, so that I can still have and do all of these things. The next one was I wanted vision and creativity. And that's what I love about what I do with podcasting and coaching, is I'm constantly thinking about new ways and frameworks, and I have vision and like things I want to do down the road. So I'm constantly growing and evolving. And the last one is education for myself and teaching others. So education for self and others. So for me, in order to break free from survival mode, from living in autopilot by default, lacking clarity, going through life's motions, these were all the steps that I had to go through. Now, I want to move more into the identity piece. So what we've done here is like that whole aim piece, right? Creating clarity, and like you have to understand your values so you're living in alignment with what lights you up. And so this is what it is for me. I'd love to know if you do this for yourself and you come up with your own acronym. Share it with me in the comment section. So now let's get into that third piece, the idea of application. And this is where the identity piece really comes in. Because as I shared, there's 3 things that have created who you are and your current results. So in order to create new results, you have to change, you have to shift from the inside out, which is identity shifting, think version 2.0. So I got really clear on all that. Now, this took me years. And now that I have frameworks, I know my values, I know what I want, I know what lights me up, let's get into that third piece, the idea of application. Now, the first step here I want to talk about is identity. And this is, as I shared, your thoughts, emotions, and habits. That's it. These 3 things create your reality. And until you change, nothing in your life changes. So when I left my 9-to-5 and I became an entrepreneur, which is huge, right? Like I had courage, I decided to bet on me, I took a leap of faith, but I was leaping into a lot of unknowns. And at the time, my identity was full of self-doubt, feeling like an imposter, which led to procrastination, equating $0 in my bank account. So think about that. Like that version, you would not be watching this if you could tell I was full of self-doubt, if I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. You would not be watching this. We emit energy and I would be repelling you. So that's where I was in 2017. And I knew, okay, this version of me isn't going to create the impact and the income that I was seeking. So who did I need to become? So once you get clear on the life that you want to live, this is the next piece. This is the biggest factor. Without strategy, without any of that external stuff, who are you being? It's the identity piece. So I got really clear. All right, self-doubt wasn't going to get me there. And feeling like an imposter wasn't going to get me there. Who am I to do this, right? These kind of hand in hand. And I was procrastinating and I was inconsistent. That's a big one I see people do. I was inconsistent. So this identity, this version of me had to go. It just wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. It didn't get me to where I am today. So think about it, wherever you're currently at, if you're inconsistent, if you're full of self-doubt, if you're dwelling on the past, none of that is going to create the future that you want. So get clear, what version of you, who do you need to be showing up as in order to get what you want in your life? So I had to become confident, I had to have clarity, I had to be consistent, I had to have confidence. And I had to put in the daily reps. This has to become your lifestyle. This isn't a one-off. You don't go to the gym one time and do bicep curls and you're set for life. This is consistent repetition. This is daily practice. It's about who you become. Life doesn't give you what you want. It reflects who you are being. So that's the big piece here, is the idea of identity. Who do you need to become? What does that version 2.0 of you look like in order to break free from survival mode into thriving? So I want to bring this full circle because I understand that this might be a lot, but I don't want it to be complicated, and change isn't. Change does not have to be complicated. In fact, less is more. So let's break this down so you have your tangible takeaways, what you need to apply today. So here's what I hope you took away from this and what you need to apply in your life. Step number 1, you have to become self-aware. What are those thoughts, emotions, and habits that aren't serving you? Remember, self-doubt, feeling like an imposter, and procrastinating and being inconsistent wasn't going to give me the results that I wanted. That's step number 1, awareness. Step number 2, no matter where you're currently at, what do you want? What does your bank account need to look like? What home do you want to live in? What's the lover? What's the business? What kind of life do you want? And then step 3, it's all about the application, and this really is the identity piece. When you put all of these into play, this is how you break free from autopilot default and start living your life by design. Now, I would love to hear from you. What questions do you have for me regarding today's content? Please comment them down below. And I'd love to hear any of your ahas and takeaways. Thanks for watching today's video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you're the first to know when new videos drop. And give me a thumbs up. I'll catch you on the next one.